Director of POCCA, Protect Our Cape Cod Aquifer. I'm going to pass these around to you. If anybody would like to bug me at any time, that's great. No, I'm going to be giving you so much information in just a really short amount of time. Please just email me, and that would be fine. I'm fine with that. So Tuesday night was really interesting. I worked with the town of Dennis since November a year, so it's been about 14 months. I went to this town and got on the agenda at the Board of Selectmen and gave presentations to educate them. Listen, glyphosate is harmful to bees, harmful to developing children, found in our natural resources. Here's the science. Boom. You guys have files, you guys have folders. If we could go through, and if you don't, please email me because I can send you all this information by email. I am not a paper person usually, but today we are going to rely on some papers for a lot of knowledge in a short amount of time. So the first thing in your file that I wanted to share with you is steps to remove glyphosate products on your town land. Here are the steps. So there's going to be, I think, 8 different packets with this poster as well that Dr. Stefan and I have been working together for 6 months on. It has all the answers. We have so many questions and not a lot of answers and not a lot of time to answer all the questions, right? This email, I think it's 8 packets, go to your Board of Selectmen. So literally, you can do this at night after work. You just go on your town website and you find your Board of Selectmen chair, and you send them these documents with a request. The request is, hi, my name is, I live at the address to be a resident of your town, and my request is to have this town not use glyphosate products on any town-owned land again. Okay? And I'd like to be on the agenda. I'd like this to be on the agenda. Please tell me when. And follow up, because let me tell you, 3 months will go by and you'll say, well, I never heard back from them. Every week, I do it every 3 days. I have a 3-day follow-up in my world. I write down what I've done, and in 3 days I look at that sheet, and if it isn't checked off, I follow up. So it's about bugging them and educating them. So in these packets, we have the actual steps that you get to take. It goes 1, 2, 3, like basics. This is the way to give a presentation. This is what to say when you get there. But they will have the information before you even get there because you emailed it to them. And they usually like to take the time to read everything and understand it. So they have a 10-step elimination plan given to them. It's the first document. The second one is a template. Okay, this template is where it's at. This template is... you can't have mine. No. In a minute you can though. This template, we're hoping that 351 towns in the state of Massachusetts follows. This is the template that boards of health or boards of selectmen can just put their name in. So the language is already done for them, because I'll tell you, the Board of Selectmen doesn't know what glyphosate is. Talk about how to say the word correctly most of the time. It's glyphosate. And so it's fascinating work that we've taken the time to put together. There are 16 towns since Tuesday night in the state of Massachusetts that have either a policy or a regulation against glyphosate use on town-owned land in the state of Massachusetts. That's also in one of these documents that you will be giving to your town that's never even heard the word before. And it lists the town, the date. Marblehead is what we really took the language from. What they wrote was the strongest language of any town so far. Fascinating work. And it's here. And so the town that you live in, they can have that language. They can see what the other towns have written, the dates that they passed, the Board of Health, the Select Board, what they said, Parks and Commissions.
Where's the one from Marblehead?
It should be on Massachusetts towns with glyphosate controls. It should be at the end of the packet because it's the end of the packet. That's it. So the template is what you want your town to vote on and sign and date. So that is the big one. There's also, before you get there, is science and harm. Here it is, in front of you. And it will be given, hopefully, to your Board of Selectmen. Now, I go to the Board of Selectmen first. Why? Because they own the land. They are the leaders of that town. There's a little glitch. This is a health problem, right? Glyphosate is deemed harmful to humans, to any living thing on this planet. So this is a health issue. So all of a sudden, the Board of Health can be stronger than the selectmen. So there's a little curveball there. The greatest ask of any town. Steph, could you record this? I'm just going to say that. Steph, could you record this? The greatest ask of any town is for you, the resident, to ask your Board of Health to write a regulation versus the select board to write a policy. Well, what's the difference? The difference is a lot. The difference is a regulation written and signed and dated by a Board of Health and hold up in court. There's over, I've just heard 1 million cases, but only about 50,000 will probably happen because the people that are hurt are going to get cancer and die, unfortunately. There are so many cases out there. This is what's happening. Children are going to their parks, they're going to their schools, they're getting hurt. If a parent says, oh my gosh, my child has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma because they just went to the school grounds that sprayed glyphosate that morning, my kid is sick now, I am going to sue town. If your town Board of Health has written a regulation, it will hold up in court. If your town selectmen wrote a policy, it will not hold up in court. That is the difference. So I have been going to the Board of Selectmen first. Hi, my name is, and this is my goal. And I would like your permission to get to the Board of Health. Will you give a high recommendation? Because if the Board of Health hears from their selectmen that their selectmen want them to do this, that's huge. That is huge. So I always start at the selectmen. Why? Because they own the land. They're in charge of the land. Well, that begs the question, who maintains the land? They don't know. I'll tell you how many times I go to the Board of Selectmen and they're like, I'll tell you, DPW, Parks and Services, beaches, we've got school grounds, we've got water departments,
Cemeteries.
Right? There's cemeteries, so there's outside landscapers as well maintaining town-owned land. That is who we educate the alternatives with. And there's another packet of alternatives that are alternatives. There's 19 of them. I'm going to figure out 20 one of these days. But there's 19 alternatives here. Not one of them is with another product. I do not believe removing glyphosate and then putting in organic herbicide instead is the answer. No. Or how many gallons of vinegar? That's not salt. I mean, pick your product. No. We can educate. It's going to be hard. It's going to be not as easy. Maybe it'll cost $35 more. You know, the long-term effects of glyphosate, we don't actually understand. If you squirt 1 drop, 20 Olympic-sized pools, I don't even know what that looks like, but I do know that it continues on doing harm for, I've seen studies of 22 years. It lives on continuing harm, 1 drop. This has got to be stopped, and we can do it by education. You're giving them the science. You're giving them the alternatives. You say to your Board of Selectmen, please give this packet to all your departments. Now, there's a first question that the Board of Selectmen said, well, are we using it? How much are we using? Do you know? Do you know? How far? When I started last November, this whole initiative, I started on Cape Cod to go to all 15 Cape Cod towns, and I did it in 6 months, and I've gotten half the towns in a year to do this. So it is possible. You can do this with education, and it's up to you guys to do this. You have everything you need to do this. So I'm gonna break down. We're at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. How much do you use? I don't know, how much do you use? Chatham. How cool is this? They knew I was coming because they have the packet. They know what my ask is because you have all the information. In the Board of Selectmen's room, they had the Board of Health, the DPW, the Parks and Services, the Water Department, and the Board of Selectmen said, come on up to the microphone one at a time. How much did you use last year? How much did you use last year? How much did you use? Everybody knows the protocol. Every year, at the beginning of the year, they order X amount per town. This is what we want to stop now. Go home and email now, because the protocol is usually February, March. They'll get their 20 gallons. Now, 20 gallons is concentrate. So that's another thing that selectmen were like, really? So we don't use very much. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so the water department, 2.5 gallons. The school, 5 gallons. It added up to over 20 some odd gallons of concentrate. And the selectmen were like, we're quitting right now. In 1 hour, Chatham was done with the information, with understanding where the departments are. They said, we don't care what the cost difference is, right? They were the only town that I worked with so far that said 0 right now. Harwich was the next town. Board of Health is going to write a regulation. So they haven't yet, but that will be the strongest language that would actually hold up in court. Huge. All the other towns I've worked with so far are policies written with the Board of Selectmen. I'm okay with that. That's great. Why? Because that got your town to not, on town-owned land, to not have glyphosate be used. And the education went out. So I went to Barnstable, and I did the 3-minute, because they won't even put me on their agenda, so you have the public speak, you have the open mic for 3 minutes. 3 minutes all summer long. June, July, August, 3 minutes. Hi, I'm Laura. Will you stop using Roundup on golf courses, please? I'll tell you what, they're not using Roundup on golf courses in the town of Barnstable on Cape Cod anymore.
Wow.
That's huge. It's huge. Yeah. Dennis, as you can see, this is going around. Hopefully this is going around. Keep it moving around. Dennis had the golf courses were like, no, what are we going to do? And so they allow the golf courses until July 1st, 2021. Because they need to learn their alternatives. They've got to try. Falmouth asked for a year moratorium. They said, we'll quit right now. Absolutely exempt on all town-owned land. They're calling it a moratorium for 1 year. The next meeting, their conservation, ConsCon came up and said, can we have a variance? Please, we need a variance. We need a variance for 10 properties, 10 projects right now. And the Board of Health was like, so they hashed them all out and they only allowed 1. So it's happening, okay? There's going to be trials and errors, and these boards are going to have to communicate. They're going to have to connect. They're going to say, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And is this working? Phragmites are a really huge problem. Anybody knows that these Phragmites love to self-spread and take over. And that is one of the biggest things that we're still working on. I could call it trial and error, or trying. There is no antidote, number 1, alternative for glyphosate at all. There is no number 1 thing, right? Glyphosate kills everything. It's such like an overkill. We have tools in our toolbox. We have so many tools in our toolbox. I ask every town to take 1 little tool out of your toolbox, and you can put in 100 more alternatives. And it's so fun to work with them. There's a lot of fear factor. What are we going to do? We're so reliant. It's going to cost so much. Taxes are going to go up. It's like, just slow it down and let's talk about this. And I like to get site specific. Okay, I need you to tell me that's poison ivy in sunlight, north facing, and then I will actually go down a list of possible alternatives. You know, not, give me the answer to glyphosate. You can't, and actually be successful, you really can't. Okay, so there's so many levels to this. My goal in starting all of this was to educate homeowners because they use more than the town departments. Town departments are Massachusetts State certified licensed applicators, okay? Most likely. And supposed to be. And so the label is the law. They have to read the label and abide to the law. Homeowners, they go to the shelf and say, oh geez, more's better. Just keep going. And that attitude, that's where I feel like it's got to stop. And I would love help by everybody in this room to get the state to not allow any homeowner, unless they want to go through the regimen and the education of becoming a Massachusetts State licensed applicator. Okay, homeowners are using more than anybody else incorrectly. Unfortunately, they're just not educated, and it's allowed. The EPA allows this. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's just maddening. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the science because you've listened this morning and you've got the answers. Incredible studies in front of you. It is harmful enough to talk about. You're scared, you're timid. Talk about it. It's worth going through. You have a list. What do I do first? You email first. You get on the agenda. Getting on the agenda is so hard. It's not easy. Some towns are like, hey, Laura, come on over, because they know I'm trying to protect water. Other towns are like, you don't even live in this town, so what are you doing here? Falmouth, I sat there 6 meetings. The last person in the room, what's your name? Laura Kelley, Eastham. It's half an hour away. I'll be back next. You have my request. I'll be back next time. Again and again. And they finally said, okay, you can get on the agenda. I was like, yes, so every town's going to be different. You're going to go through whatever you're going to go through. It's great storytelling, but do it. Get on the agenda. When you give a presentation, again, you're going to have this information in front of you. You can circle and memorize and read word verbatim, however you want to do it. If you don't have the lingo, if you're not comfortable, if, whatever your situation is, they will have the answers, and instead they're going to drill you with questions. If you're not familiar with the product, or a scientist doesn't know the harm, or the alternatives, landscape art, and that's not your forte anyway, just be honest with, I don't know the answer to that question, I will get back to you. And write it to me, bug me. If I don't know the answer, I'll find somebody else that will, okay? Like, we can do this together. Don't feel like you're by yourself. I've done this alone for almost 10 years now. It started off with Eversource. Eversource spraying herbicides on power lines on Cape Cod. Imazapyr, Aquifer, Glyphosate, ammonium. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Our aquifer is 20 feet below. The state, MDAR, Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, is in charge of overseeing Eversource's operations throughout the whole entire state of Massachusetts. MDAR does not know the depth to our drinkable water on Cape Cod. So I brought an ecotoxicologist, I brought a hydrologist, I brought a lawyer. I have been in front of MDAR, speaking with them for 3 years, and they still didn't change one word. So it gets me to go back to the towns. Well, we got to do the grassroots effort then. If we can't, we have bills at the State House trying to ban glyphosate statewide. Where'd it go? I don't know. It's dead in the water. Let's do it again next year. Okay, great. Well, in the meantime, let's see if we can get 351 towns in the state of Massachusetts to volunteer not to use glyphosate products on any town-owned land. And this is the packet. This is the answer to all that. And everybody goes home and bugs their town and starts. And tell us where you're at. We want to know. Like right now we have 16 towns, so we feel like in 1 year, plus Marblehead and Warwick that were prior to that, we feel as though that is weight in gold. That will then get the next town and the next town. And we're not the first, but we need to keep asking of our boards of health because they've never, like we've talked earlier, they don't know they have the power. They don't only have the power to do this. Okay, really quick, what's the difference between a policy and a regulation?
Regulation can stand up in court.
Okay, and then another level of what's the difference between a policy and a regulation is Board of Health writes a regulation. They need to hold a hearing. They need to say announcement 21 days. They need to hold a hearing and have their townspeople show up, pro or for or against, and listen, and then decide if they're going to vote. Okay, so that's why they are different. That is how they are different. There is a hearing held for the public to be a regulation versus a policy. A policy, a selectman could say, we're going to vote on it tonight. So that's why it holds up in court more. I hope that's a little, just to explain differences of all these things. There's, oh my God, ordinances and bylaws and other things. There's getting on your, town meeting where you get all your townspeople to vote on it. Yeah, that's just, it's a baby step. I say, go right to the horse's mouth. You gotta go to the top. You gotta start educating, and you can. Let me see what else I'm going to chat about really quick, and then we'll open up the room. The template, it's gold. It's good. It's language from 3 different towns put together, and it's the same language. So what I would love is, like when you cross borders, from, where are we? Worcester and Leinster, it's the same language. Not like on the Cape, I'm finding that they're curtailing it and they're curving it. I said that in the beginning. I'm like, listen, whatever you're comfortable with, write it. Just write it. And now I'm like, oh no. So I'm hoping that we can stay within this template, that the towns, if they have to remove something, they can. It's okay. You write the policy, okay? Board of Selectmen wrote a policy. They followed this template. It's signed. Departments can come in requesting a variance.
Yeah.
Right? Say, I've got a project, I really need it, and you discuss it, and you talk about how much you're going to use, when are you going to use it, when are you going to apply it, are you going to put signs, are you going to tell the townspeople? Boards of Health, same thing, they have a regulation, but still there's a department that's like, dying, I can't, phragmites are taking over the town. They can write a variance. So this is a place to start, that it's not like, it's not like God, it's not just written in stone. You can work with, the departments can work within each other. And that's huge. That gives an out. So when you're talking and they're like, well, if we write this, so you can always be given a variance. It's more work, but it's education, it's getting people to talk about problems within their own town. I think it's huge. Because a lot of times the selectman doesn't know that CONSCOM is even doing whatever they're doing on the beaches. And so it really brings the knowledge, the understanding. Now glyphosate is a really, big thing we're talking about here today, but there's a lot worse going on out there, right? This to me was like the tip of the iceberg because the science, I'm not a scientist, but I don't have to be. It's here. It's at our fingertips. You're going to get both sides of the story. Let me tell you, the golf course people, they stick together there. Talk about power and numbers. Watch out. And the EPA still allows it on the shelves. And the state, MDR's got to come in and say, but listen, our studies are, 1989, and we're going to hold on to them. And I'm like, listen, this is all within the last 2 years. That's all within the last 2 years. So know that times are changing. Know the science is out there. You're not on your own. You don't have to be eloquent in any of this. You can just kind of point. The one thing I wanted to say really quickly, if you have time to have coffee with people and chat, that's one thing. If you don't, if the people that live in your town could just write an email to the department you chose to target, your Board of Health or your selectmen, they get 10 emails on the topic. Hey, listen, don't use Roundup. Hey, listen, stop using glyphosate. Hey, put this on the agenda. Whatever it is, that holds up. So that's a really, really, really big deal. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody.